Italian fashion designer and founder of the Armani empire, Giorgio Armani, has passed away overnight, aged 91. For more on the legacy he leaves behind, I'm joined now by fashion director of the New York Times, Vanessa Friedman. Vanessa, thanks so much for your time this morning. I mean, Giorgio Armani was an absolute titan of the industry. How is he being remembered this morning?
He's being remembered by everyone who knew him. If you look at social media, there are memorials, accolades, stories being shared by celebrities, by designers, by his peers, by the women he dressed. And it's really quite touching.
It's not just the House of Armani, right? The haute couture line, the Privé. You've also got Armani Exchange. You've also got Armani Beauty. You've also got Armani Fragrances. I mean, this was an empire that reached basically...
Armani hotels,
Yeah.
Armani apartments, Armani restaurants.
It goes on. And it's sort of, I guess it speaks to the fact that he was able to reach all of society, right? Not just those who could afford the top end.
I think he understood and in fact was a pioneer of the idea that, as a designer, you wanted to create a world, that anything that, applied, that the word style could be applied to was something you could touch. And he created a universe really that was absolutely his own and that you could buy into at whatever level you could afford.
Absolutely. Among Armani's ambassadors was our very own Australian actress Kate Blanchett, and Giorgio even came on board as a patron for the Sydney Theatre Company while she was at the helm there. He also had a love of the arts, didn't he?
He appreciated fine art, he appreciated all kinds of culture. And I think he understood very much that fashion was a part of culture, right? He also completely changed the way fashion and film related to each other. He really was the first designer to understand that by accessing stars, accessing celebrities, he could transform how people were seen and how his brand was seen. It's impossible now to think of any award show or any premiere and not think of the name Armani.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word icon gets thrown around a lot, but he's definitely a fashion icon. I mean, there is no doubt about that. What do you know about him as a man, what he was actually like?
He was fanatic about his brand, incredibly detailed, incredibly hardworking, visionary, very beloved, I think, by the people he worked with and the celebrities who worked with him. He was also really tough. And I can tell you as a critic, if he didn't like what you wrote, he told you.
Oh, that would have been fun to hear, I'm sure.
Absolutely fine. Completely, I appreciated it. We had a nice little chat backstage before a show once, and at the end he gave me some perfume. So,
Well, there you go, all's well.
Always forgiven.
Exactly. By the way, Vanessa, I'm not sure how you can critique someone like Giorgio Armani, but, I mean, he's left such an incredible legacy, right? And that legacy will now continue, obviously, in his name. But what does the future of his brand look like?
I think the thing is, he really changed how people dressed, right? He, not just when it comes to Hollywood, but when it comes to all of our wardrobes, because he did create, the soft suit, the suit that, made you feel powerful, but also gave you the freedom to move. And that was an incredibly radical act. I mean, most people don't think of Armani as a radical person, but that was a really radical act. And it really, forever has shifted the vocabulary of fashion. Whether the person who eventually takes his place will do the same, we don't know. He was the only shareholder in his company until his death.
Wow.
He ensured it would survive as an independent entity by creating a Giorgio Armani Foundation and being very specific about how the company would function after his death. But that was largely corporate structure and not so much the creative side. So what happens there remains to be seen.
Watch this space. Perhaps that was his plan all along. At 91, he leaves an incredible legacy and led an incredible life. Vanessa, thanks for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.